Starflyer looks stuck. Anyways, I'm in Sweden. So yeah, I'm on a family trip, kind of to some of the Nordic countries. We're just spending like a few days in each city. Fun. My family's not into theme parks. They don't really like them. It's kind of a me thing. So wasn't expecting to come here at all today. Grona Lund, which is a park in the middle of Stockholm, Sweden, like literally right in the middle of the city. It's kind of weird. The whole park's like in like 2 blocks, very compact, very interesting. So yeah, I wasn't going to come to Grona Lund at all. I knew I would see it here, but we didn't think we'd have time to go. But we ended up with some free time, so I was like, oh, I'll pop over here for a couple hours. It's an interesting park for sure. You can see right overhead, Monster, their B&M Invert. I haven't seen it go yet, so hopefully it's running, but that's what I'm most excited to ride here. But I just got my tickets to enter. Although they have a guest services counter, you cannot buy tickets there. You have to buy all your tickets online. It looks like there's a mass exodus out of the park right now for some reason. It's about 7 right now. The park's open until 10. There's Monster's lift hill. You can see the station is underground to save space because of how compact this park is.
Being in the movie park so much. I told you guys you'd love it. Next time I'll tell you something you guys would believe. Okay. I'm going to say this like insane. No, but I should say that it's like either from Turkey or Lincoln. I should movie how bad. Maybe they go like.
Men hej, välkommen till Monster. Här lämnar vi alla.
These are some of the weirdest loose article bins I've ever seen. Very odd. I just did Monster. That's, I think, the newest B&M Invert. And, you know, after doing, like, this Over Georgia Batman clone recently, this is not compare in terms of intensity at all. I'll talk about it in a second when I get outside. It's not terribly crowded here, but I did wait about 30 minutes for Monster there, which it could be a lot worse considering this is in the middle of a major city. Only about a 30-minute wait there. And the crews were absolutely hauling. Great operations, but yeah, I was going to show you in a second. The best part of this ride was just like the view from the lift hill and up to the first drop because you're like right on the water. It's really good. But yeah, as you might expect from a newer B&M, I think this opened like 2021. Very floaty, not whippy at all. Just kind of is what it is. Also did not have the G-force that at least Banshee, you know, Banshee is not whippy, but at least has a decent amount of force. There really wasn't much force to Monster here. It was everything was very floaty. There were like a few moments where you felt some G's. I would actually compare the intensity to something like Wild Eagle running in the summertime. And granted, it may be because it's, you know, the end of, or beginning, yeah, it's end of May right now, which is still not the warmest here. It's like in the 50s today. So, and then maybe the ride just isn't fully warmed up. I'm not giving it credit, but it's about similar to like Wild Eagle in the middle of summer in terms of the G's it pulls. New versions are all very floaty. It doesn't have any of the whip you get from like a more classic B&M Invert. So I definitely say that's at the bottom of the B&M Inverts I've done in terms of ride experience. But you know, the views are nice. It's about to go down the first drop right here behind me. And you can see that's right over the water. It is a beautiful ride to ride. There's a view from within the park. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, I'm just here for like 3 hours or so. At least I'll stay till the park closes, but that's not terribly long. So I don't know how much I'm actually going to be able to do today. Deciding if I'm going to try to get another ride on Monster or try to get like some of the other coasters. So they have an Intamin Zac Spin, which I don't know when I'll have an opportunity to do one of those again, so I might go do that now. They have a gravity group wooden coaster, which is interesting. When I saw it from a distance, I thought it was like a classic wood coaster because that would make sense for a park like this. Apparently it's a Gravity Group from 2011. And you know I love Gravity Group. Voyage at Holiday World's my favorite coaster. Of course, it's not going to be anything like Voyage. I imagine it'll be more like their family models, which are still pretty good. But yeah, I did not know that was a modern Gravity Group here. Yeah, like I said, this whole park is in like 2 city blocks. You can see Monster Station, as I mentioned before, is underground, which is kind of wild. And yeah, here's Insane. There's Intamin Zac Spin. I'll probably do that in a second. And the 2 drop towers here. They have the S&S one over there, farther from us. Closer to us is Icarus, which is one of the Intamin towers where it faces you toward the ground. Those are super rare. And the only other one I think is Falcon's Flight at Busch Gardens Tampa. This one's much shorter. But yeah, I probably won't do that today because I've got like a 45-minute line. It's like the longest line in the park. So I'll probably focus on the coasters just because I like those more. But yeah, Monster and Insane are the 2 like thrill coaster series. So Monster's obviously their flagship coaster. But over here, there's like a Gerstlaur Wild Mouse. I think bobsled is the model. That's basically a Wild Mouse. That's what I call it. Up there, that blue one, that is Jetline. It's an old Schwarzkopf that unfortunately had a pretty bad accident in 2023. And they shortly after announced it was closing permanently because of that accident. But here we are 2 years later. It still has not been removed. I assume just because it's so intertwined with everything else here, it would be pretty difficult and expensive to remove. So I guess they're leaving it for now. I'm not really sure what the situation was that led to the accident on Jetline. They have put out, the Swedish government, whatever agency handles amusement safety, did put out a very detailed accident report. I just have not read it. So yeah, I have no idea how much of that was the park maintenance's fault or what, but I do know that typically after major accidents like that, it really pushes parks to super up their safety. So ironically enough, after something like that has happened, as horrible as it is usually when the parks are safest to visit typically. Yeah, reaching the back of the park here, it's much more empty back here. Who's Kavastit, whatever. I'm not gonna try to pronounce it. But it's a Vekoma family inverted coaster. Barely back there on the edge of the waterfront, back there is the Gravity Group family wood coaster. More classic ride. Here's that Wild Mouse. So yeah, very compact park. Is that a 3rd drop tower? I think that's a 3rd drop tower. What the heck? I think I'm gonna try to go for Insane, which is their Intamin Zac Spin now. I've never done any kind of 4D coaster like this. I have not done any of the S&S 4D free spins that are so common over stateside. So I am a little bit nervous, not scared by any means, but just a little nervous because I have no idea what to expect from the ride type. And then the fact that apparently the Intamin Zac Spins here are much more uncomfortable than the S&S ones allegedly. And yeah, I just don't know how this is gonna go. But Intamin Zac Spins are pretty rare, so might as well take the opportunity to ride one while I can. Yeah, so the entrance to Insane is kind of hidden here. It's all the way back behind Monster's turn, first drop by the lake here. So that's a little interesting. So you choose which side you want. I chose right side. I don't think there's really a difference.
Nej, det var jättekul. Yeah, I only actually got one flip, which was on that last turn there.
but that seems to be the way that most of the cars are. They're only flipping on that last turn there, so that maybe that's the way the ride's designed or the way it's tuned to operate right now. I don't know, which is fine because the flip was definitely the most uncomfortable part. We're just going through the other sections, the drops and stuff in that seating position. Made me feel things I have never felt on a coaster before. I still am deciding if that's a good or a bad thing. I don't really know. It was more comfortable than I expected, but it was still like a little rough. It also keeps just completely stopping on that brake run. That's longer than it had stopped before. It came to a complete stop on that brake run like that for like 3 seconds. Okay, there it goes now. A little bit odd, but is what it is. But yeah, Insane, I would say, is definitely a good name for that ride. That seating position's a little scary in a good way, in a fun way. Especially when you're so close to the water. On the ride, you can see you're still probably like 10 feet away from the edge of the water, but it feels like you're over the water for part of the ride. So that's definitely a cool feeling. And yeah, coming over that first drop and even this drop over here, I'm bad at pointing when I got the camera like this, but yeah, that drop, those drops feel pretty gut-wrenchy, just with the way you're sitting and the way that the train traverses through them. Yeah, the most uncomfortable part of the ride is definitely that flip at the end. It just doesn't feel quite right, which I think is the main complaint a lot of people had about Green Lantern when it was at Magic Mountain. But yeah, I don't think that's really a ride for me. If I have time, I might ride it again on the other side. Not that it's going to be any different over there, just for fun. Just get a better feel of it because it's a little bit of an overwhelming experience. I'll be interested to try the SNS version at Great America, my new home park, later this summer. But, you know, for now, I've done a Zac Spin. Yeah, about to ride something I actually know I'll enjoy, Twister. This newer Gravity Group family wind coaster. I say newer, opened in 2011, so much newer than I expected. I'm getting up close to what it does look, you know, a bit newer, but yeah, I really enjoy the Gravity Group family wind coasters. Got the cool classic color scheme here with the red rails, white supports, and then brown track. You can see it's actually got steel supports, which is nice. Entrance right here on the waterfront, which is great. Love that they're taking advantage of that so much. Just walked into the queue here and they have some, I guess, Gravity Group stuff, history. There's Jungle Trailblazer, lots of Chinese stuff. Oh, what? Coney Island Cyclone in New York, so not just Gravity Group. There's lots of random stuff here. Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. California Screaming. They got all sorts of random stuff here. They got stuff off through the queue. I think that's Outlaw Run over there. They're showing wildfire ads, Comarvin ads for wildfire on the TVs constantly. Cedar Point mentioned. Iron Rattler's out here twice. They must really like Iron Rattler. I don't see anything else in here twice. That is a really cool picture of the beast. But is that El Toro? El Toro is just a trail down there. I love this picture of the beast. I've seen this picture before. It's a good one though. They relegated my favorite coaster to a tiny little panel on the bottom. That is a very old picture of Kings Island's Racer up in the top left. Also, Shivering Timbers mentioned, and rest in peace, Wild One. And of course, it all ends in an ad, Comarvin's Wildfire. Looks like a good ride, though. Oh, is that the Crystal Beast? That's funny. All right, had to wait about 30 minutes for Twister there, which is not fantastic, but no, it's a good ride. I don't know if it's worth a 30-minute wait. It's definitely a family coaster. It's got some nice moments, like the first drop is surprisingly steep. I rode in the back row, and it really throws you over in the back. Otherwise, it's kind of what you'd expect from a Gravity Group family coaster in terms of some nice airtime pops. It rides like a Gravity Group, like you'd expect. It's pretty dang smooth. Like I said, I rode in the back row, and you know, I don't really know what to say other than it was very smooth for a 15-year-old coaster. Some of those can get kind of rough if they're not maintained properly. This one does seem to be maintained very well. Yeah, it was good. It definitely had a lot of dead space. I think some of that was just the way that, you know, the layout, they had to work it into such a small space. So when there are drops in airtime hills, they are very good, but the ride has quite a bit of dead space as well. So it's definitely more of a family coaster, and it's definitely, the only other Gravity Group family coaster I've done would be Kentucky Flyer. And Kentucky Flyer is definitely significantly superior to Twister there, but it's still very fun. And again, it's cool, you get views. When you get to the top of the lift hill, you see the water and the city of Stockholm out there. And it's, you know, that's not something you get on most other wood coasters, so it's fun. All right, going for Kvastin now. This is a Vekoma family suspended coaster, a very cloned model, but I believe this is the original. Looks pretty cool. It like dives through Twister's layout there, and then, you know, kind of has some theming going on here more than some of the other coasters here have, which is cool. I will say it opened in 2007, so I have no idea, you know, newer Vekomas like this, like Dragonflyer, are butter smooth, but the older ones are some of the most miserable rides I've ever experienced. So again, this is 2007. It looks like it has the newer trains, but I don't know if it's going to ride more like Dragonflyer, which would be fantastic, or if it's going to run more like Kitty Hawk, which is like the worst coaster I've ever ridden. So I don't know. I'm curious. Let's see. All right, so I just waited about 15 minutes for Kvastin, and frustratingly enough, I bought the ticket online like the lady at the front had said, and she said that you'd be good then, just show them whenever you ride. So the first 3 things I wrote here, I just showed them the thing, and they were like, oh yeah, you're good. So I assume that's how it works. This guy says you have to go, he said, we cannot let you on the ride unless you go get a wristband from somewhere. The instructions were kind of unclear. But I said I had gotten onto other rides just showing them my ticket, and they said, oh, they shouldn't have let you do that. You had to go get a wristband. And nobody had mentioned a wristband to me, not even guest services when I had gone to talk to them. So I don't know. We're going to try to figure this out, I guess. Yeah, so when you're coming here, you're looking for machines like this to get your wristband. So it's a pretty simple process. Once you get it, you just kind of scan your code and it prints out immediately. Simple process. Once you actually get to a machine, trying to figure out where to go, not fun. Had to ask like 3 employees, and they told me like 3 different places where those machines were, and eventually I just had to find them on my own. They weren't in any of the places that they told me they were in. And again, just really weird that the first couple things I wrote here, they said that was fine. When I went to the admission booth and they said I have to buy tickets online, which, like, why do you have a ticket booth if you're just telling everybody to buy tickets online? And then they said it would be fine to just show that at the rides, which I did, and it was fine for all the rides except for Kvastin. Kvastin apparently, you know, even after waiting for like 20 minutes, they said, you know, you cannot ride. You have to go get a wristband, and we can't save your spot in line. You should lose that 20 minutes because of a policy they didn't clearly explain. It's kind of annoying, you know? So that did take a decent chunk of time. Again, I lost the time in line, and it took a decent chunk of time to figure out where to get the wristband. So I don't have much time left now. Maybe like 30 minutes left, so we'll see what I can do at this park in the last 30 minutes here. The sun is starting to set on the horizon over there. Unfortunately, we won't get any night rides tonight because the park closes in like 30 minutes. But, you know, it's a cool sunset rides, golden hour. This place is owned by the same, this is fabulous grass everywhere now. It was showing a Carmarthen ad. There are Carmarthen ads all over the place here. I know the company that owns Grona Lund here also owns Carmarthen, but they really, really want people to go because they have like ads for wildfire everywhere. Anyways, Kvastin's good. Probably not worth waiting for it twice, but you gotta do what you gotta do. It's fine. It's very much a family coaster. It's significantly more tame than something like Dragonflyer. It's more on the thrill level of like the old Vekoma Hang and Bangs. So, you know, like it's like a Flying Ace Aerial Chase or Kitty Hawk in terms of level of thrill. That to be not much, very much family, almost kiddie focused. But it's cool. You got some good theming. In terms of ride, I mean, it's not rough. It's like a middle ground between the old Vekoma family coasters and the newer ones. So it's not in any way rough the way that the older ones are. However, the way that it runs on the track is more reminiscent of how the older ones run than the newer ones, if that makes sense. If you've ridden something like Dragonflyer, you know it just has this like glossy smoothness to it, to the way that it runs that you just don't have on Kvastin here. It runs kind of like if Kitty Hawk or Flying Ace Aerial Chase were smooth. That's how I describe it. And also it does have a few little jolts, but you have the newer restraint style where it's just the lap bars, so nothing to hit your head on, so no problem there. All right, I'm about to do the Gerstlaur Wild Mouse bobsled, as the model is known. I've done one of these at Werner Prater in Austria. That one was like pretty new, like almost brand new, and I really enjoyed it. This one opened in 2003. I honestly had no idea that Gerstlaur had been making these this long. So this one may not be quite as smooth. I really enjoyed the one I did in Austria, but again, it was pretty much brand new. So we'll see how one that's over 20 years old runs. All right, heading into the queue, going upstairs to the station. It feels like a fun house in here. Most of the lines seem to be clearing out now, getting into closing. So hopefully it won't be that bad. Yeah, that queue is pretty much empty. That's great. A lot of the queues here kind of have tributes to their ride types, which is fun. So here's kind of a tribute to this Wild Mouse kind of style of coaster. There's some old ones there for sure. It's like a short strap looper, I don't know. That is a chain. Look at how high the chain comes up the track. That's ridiculous. All right, so there's now a little less than 20 minutes until the park closes. I'm gonna go back and ride Monster again. I didn't quite get all the credits here. There are 2 kiddie coasters here that somewhere, but I got all of the Thrill Coaster and Family Coaster credits. And as I said, I haven't seen either one of those kiddie coasters anywhere, so I don't really want to waste time trying to go find them when I only have like 20 minutes left. I would like to ride Insane again just to get a better feel of it, but with there being only about 20 minutes left and I don't know what their policy is for when they close lines, I want to make sure I get to re-ride Monster, since that's definitely been my favorite ride in the park so far, even though it is pretty tame compared to the other B&M Inverts I've done. And also, I'd even like to ride Twister again, honestly, even though it was definitely family oriented. I just love a good gravity group coaster, and I wanted to get a better feel of that one as well. But again, only about 20 minutes left, so we'll just finish it out with Monster. I got 2 more rides on Monster. The park is closed now. I rode again in the back row, which I still think is the best place to ride. I also rode in the second to front. The front row had a ridiculously long line. I knew they were going to clear it anyway. So I rode row 2 just to get a feel of how it is Closer to the front, it's definitely a much better ride in the back. Unsurprising for being an invert. Yeah, so Grona Lund done. I only had about 2.5 hours there, but I still managed to get 3 rides on Monster and then 1 ride on Twister, Gavaston, Insane, and whatever the Gerstlaur bobsled wild mouse thing was. I don't remember, but that's pretty good for only about 2.5 hours, especially on a Saturday night. Again, I came after 7 p.m. If you come after 7 p.m., it's different based on the days. You have to check the website. But if you come like right at the end of the night, the tickets are half priced, which is still pretty expensive. This is a very expensive park for what it is, I think. It's like today it was like $65 if you came the whole day, you know, the currency translated. I forget exactly what it is in Swedish krona, but it's about $30 if you come just for the end of the night like I did here, which, I mean, it's a good park, but that's pretty steep, I'd say, for a park of this size. Monster is a great modern coaster. I'm really glad that they got that a couple years ago. It really gives them that modern coaster they need to make it worth stopping by, in my opinion, although some of the other stuff was pretty good as well. They have a really good flat ride collection. Kind of sad I didn't get to do any of that today, but that's all right, because that just leaves something for me to do next time I come back to this park next time I find myself in Sweden, which probably won't be for another 10 or 20 years, but, you know, you never know. Location on the water's cool. It's cool how compact it is, and I really like urban parks like this. I'm a bit of a city guy, so it is. I find it a little unfortunate how most theme parks, I get why, for land reasons, obviously, most theme parks are like way out, almost in the middle of nowhere, both in America and Europe. That's pretty consistent. But it's fun when you come across a park like this that's like right in the city center. And Lisa Brigg is as well, which I'll be going to later this week. Yeah, I look forward to that. And yeah, Monsters Lift Show will lit up red at night. Pretty cool. Yeah, really my only complaint about Monster there, that's not even really a complaint because I think it's a great ride, but I do wish it was a bit whippier, a bit more intense like the older B&M Inverts, just to give them a really standout ride for coaster enthusiasts. But that's kind of a selfish perspective because in its state that it's in, being a little smoother, a little tamer, it's much more accessible for a lot more guests, and everybody seems to love it. So it really is their standout attraction. Yeah, it's super cool. You have this water taxi place right here. You can check a water taxi back into the main part of town. This is still part of town. Stockholm's just big, so I thought about doing that, but I haven't had anything to eat tonight. And there's a Five Guys open till 11 that I can get to on the tram up here. So I'm gonna take a tram to Five Guys. Oh my lord, look at the tram stop to get back into town. Jeez, I guess that's what it's like every night. But yeah, here we are. This is like the main metro station here at the center of town, but it's funny, really like everybody from Grona Lund is what I meant to say, all got off at the exact same stop there. Five Guys. All right, I feel remarkably American right now with my nearly 11 p.m. Five Guys. Gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. But yeah, after having a little bit more time to think about Grona Lund, my thoughts are the same, which is that I don't want to say it's a mediocre park, because for the land they have, they do a really good job. And it's pretty cool, historic, all that stuff. They shove a lot into that very tiny spot, sorry. But I wouldn't say there are necessarily any like standout attractions that you like really have to experience. And it's not really a park I would say to go very far out of your way on. Ride lineup wise, it's kind of similar to like a mid-tier Six Flags or Cedar Fair Park is what it feels like to me, or even like a lower tier Six Flags or Cedar Fair Park, which basically means worth visiting if you're in the area, which you definitely should be because Stockholm's awesome. But otherwise, you shouldn't come here just to go to Grona Lund. But while you're here, definitely stop by, get some good rides. And yeah, I'm still not sure how I feel about the Intamin Zac Spin. I don't know. Again, I'll have to ride the S&S version at my new home park at Great America later this year and kind of compare them. So, but I'm glad I got to ride the Zac Spin because I think there's only like 2 left in the world right now, and that's one of them. So anyways, it's cold. Now I gotta go to bed because we gotta get up really early tomorrow morning. But thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this quick vlog from Grona Lund. If you have any questions about the park, leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them the best I can on the 2.5 hours I was there. Yeah, hope to catch a ride with y'all again very soon.